Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where today I'm going to cover something that has needed addressing since December 7th, 2021. The FV4211 has been in the game for well over a year and a half now, and this week it saw the balancing change it has needed ever since its release. As most of us know, the 4211 has been one of those tanks that is just ridiculous to play against sometimes. Shots just bounce, and even when you do aim for a weak point, RNG just says, nope. It has been incredibly frustrating. It's been a very frustrating tank to play against for a very long time. But this week, that changed. The cupola of the 4211 never used to be a weak point, but now it is. And this may not sound like a big deal, but trust me, this is a big deal. The frontal weak points prior to this week were the driver's hatch, turret ring, and the very bottom of the lower glacis. In order for you to hit these weak points, you had to expose yourself to the 4211's gun, or vice versa. You had no choice but to have the 4211's gun look at you in order for you to hit the weak points. So either way, the 4211 was going to hit you. It wasn't always going to pen, but you still had to expose yourself to the angry end of its gun. With the cupola being a weak point now, as soon as a 4211 peaks a ridgeline, the cupola is the first thing to be exposed, which means that you have the potential to damage it immediately. If you put a shot into the cupola as soon as you see it, you can duck back behind cover before the 4211 has been able to get its gun onto you. And for me, this is a massive breath of fresh air for Era 2. Don't get me wrong, the 4211 is still a good tank. The side skirts are still there as they always were, the spaced armor around the turret is always there as it's always been. But knowing that this weak point, the cupola, knowing that this weak point is there, makes so many other tanks in Era 2 competitive now. The clips I'm showing you here are from a variety of Era 2 heavies and mediums, and I've done this just to demonstrate that penning the cupola can be done from a variety of vehicles. I will admit though, it's not always an easy shot to hit, especially if you're not used to the shell velocity of the vehicles you're driving, but on the whole, the majority of Era 2 tanks can pen the cupola of the 4211. I say the majority because while I was trying out different tanks, I did notice that the M103A2 did struggle a little, but that is likely due to the fact that the 103, the A2, the Era 2 103, does have the second worst pen for an Era 2 heavy. And I believe the 4211 is actually the worst penning heavy in Era 2. So, not that that's ever stopped it, you know. But aside from the M103A2, when I hit the cupola in any other vehicle, I had absolutely no problem penning it. So, the next time you see a 4211 on the battlefield, you no longer have to feel outmatched. And my advice is, get yourself into a hold down position if you can. If you can't, then the easiest weak point to hit consistently is the cupola. So don't worry about the driver's hatch unless you're being face hugged. Don't worry about the driver's hatch turret ring. You can't hit the lower glacis anyway. I would personally prioritize the cupola whether you're hull down or not. If you can get hull down, that is even better for you because it means you can just peek up enough just to get a shot onto the cupola, pull back into cover, reload, and then just repeat the whole process. And you might take a couple of hits, but because you're hull down, they're likely to bounce. And for the first time, you're likely to come out better off than of FV4211 in a one-on-one fight, which is, hey, who doesn't want that? So there you go. I really like that the FV4211 has finally been balanced. I think this is absolutely brilliant news for all tanks in Era 2. Okay folks, that's about all I have for this one. If you've enjoyed this video, leave it a like. If not, a dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you out there.